Did you know your brain has a CEO? It's true. It's this incredibly powerful set of mental skills that, well, it kind of runs your entire life, whether you realize it or not. So today, let's meet that CEO and figure out how to make it work for you. Okay, let me ask you something. Have you ever been driving home totally lost in thought, and then suddenly you realize, oh shoot, you just sailed right past your exit? I mean, you knew where you were going, you fully intended to turn, but your brain just kept going on the usual route. Or what about this? You're staring at a piece of cake when you're trying to be healthy. It's like this internal battle, right? One part of your brain knows the goal, but this other, louder part is just screaming, eat the cake! And yeah, sometimes that part wins. So what's going on here? Well, these aren't just random oops moments. Researchers actually have a name for them: autopilot glitches. They're these little hiccups in our brain's very sophisticated operating system. Right, so the official term for missing your exit is an action slip. It's what happens when we're not really paying attention, and our brain, without any new instructions, just defaults to whatever it does most often. So it's not that you forgot where to turn, it's that you weren't actively in control in that moment. So what's supposed to stop these slips from happening? What's the part of our mind that's in charge of keeping us on track, especially when things get tricky? Well, it's time to meet the CEO. They're called executive functions, and you can think of them like the air traffic controller for your mind, managing all the incoming thoughts and outgoing impulses. They are the skills you fire up when you have to deliberately pay attention and consciously direct what you're doing. Now, this CEO isn't a one-trick pony. It operates with a core toolkit of 3 fundamental skills. And these 3 work together to manage pretty much everything, from focusing in a loud room to figuring out a really complex problem. First up, inhibitory control. And honestly, the best way to think about this is like your brain's brake pedal. It's what gives you the power to say no to that cake, to bite your tongue instead of saying something you'll regret, and to stay focused on your work even when your phone is buzzing. Without it, we'd just be creatures of pure impulse. And this is a really important distinction, right? A loud noise happens and you automatically turn to look. You don't choose to do that. It just happens. That's bottom-up attention. But choosing to ignore that noise and finish what you're doing, that is top-down, goal-driven, controlled attention. That's your CEO at work. Okay, tool number 2 is working memory. And this is so much more than just remembering stuff. Think of it as your brain's mental workbench. It's where you actively hold and juggle information to make sense of things as they happen, like following all the twists in a conversation or doing a little math in your head. And again, the difference here is huge. Just holding a phone number in your head for a few seconds, that's your short-term memory. But trying to rearrange those numbers from lowest to highest all in your head, now you're manipulating it. You're working with it. That is working memory. And the third, and maybe the most sophisticated tool in the kit, is cognitive flexibility. If inhibitory control is the brakes, this is your brain's gear shifter. It's what lets you pivot, change your mind, see something from someone else's point of view, and come up with creative solutions. It's the engine of out-of-the-box thinking. Okay, so we've got the brakes, the workbench, and the gear shifter. But how much does all this really matter? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, well, a massive study followed 1,000 people from birth for over 32 years just to find out. And what they found was, honestly, profound. And this slide just says it all, doesn't it? Think of these executive functions as the roots of a tree. What that huge study found was that kids with stronger EFs, basically better self-control, grew up to have stronger branches in every area of their lives. We're talking better health, higher income, more success in school, even more than their IQ would predict. It's foundational to, well, pretty much everything. But, and this is a big but, as powerful as the system is, it's also really fragile. This CEO can be easily thrown off its game by the pressures of everyday life. I love this quote from a leading researcher in the field, Adele Diamond. She basically says that your executive functions are the canary in the coal mine for your life. When they start to wobble, when you're more forgetful, more impulsive, less flexible, it's often the very first sign that something else isn't right. So what are those things that can go wrong? Well, the research points to 4 big ones that directly attack your brain's CEO: stress, loneliness, not getting enough sleep, and not getting enough physical activity.
The crazy thing is, any one of these can totally tank your EFs, making you feel like you've got a disorder when the real problem is just life.
Okay, I know that might sound a little bleak, but here's where the story gets really, really good. This is the most hopeful part of it all. Your CEO isn't set in stone, it's not fixed. You can actually train it. You can make it stronger, no matter how old you are.
So, how do you do it? How do you take your CEO to the gym? Well, there are tons of proven ways. Things like certain types of computerized training, traditional martial arts like Taekwondo, mindfulness and yoga, aerobic exercise, even certain school programs like Montessori have been shown to work. But no matter which method you choose, it really boils down to two key principles. Number one, you have to keep challenging yourself. You've got to practice right at the edge of what you can already do. And number two, you have to be consistent. Just like building muscle, you've got to put in the reps again and again and make it a habit. So let's bring this all home. What's the big takeaway here? Understanding your brain's CEO isn't just a cool piece of neuroscience. It fundamentally changes how you see your own actions and your own potential.
And it all comes down to this. This is the ultimate superpower these functions give us. They give us the ability to pause, to exercise choice, and to have real control over what we do next, instead of just running on instinct. If I had to boil it all down to one single idea, it's this. Executive functions are the bridge. They're the bridge that connects knowing what you should do with actually doing it. They turn your good intentions into reality.
So, you've just met the CEO of your own mind. You know what weakens it, and you know what strengthens it. So the only question left is, what's your first order of business?